So what is the role of social media? Is it a force for women or not? So I'm going to call first on stage the two students who are taking part in this debate. Can we please have the mics come out? So the mics are still being readied, but let me introduce the students nevertheless. Kuhu Mishra, can we please have you on stage? Come. And Ujjwal Pratap, can we please have you on stage? Keep this here. Yeah. And judging this debate today is a very senior police officer. We're going to be joined by ADG Anuradha Shankar, whose specialization has been in cybercrime. And she will be judging the debate, and we'll be talking to her after that as well. So ADG Anuradha Shankar, can we please have you open the door for this conversation and join us on stage? Thank you, ma'am. Please. So you're going to get 3 minutes each, then 1.5 minutes to rebut each other. In the middle, we'll take audience questions. And there will be a vote at the end. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the topic again. Which one of you is going for the motion?
Online.
For the motion? Okay. Okay. Online abuse versus free speech. Is the role of social media an empowering force for women? Kuhu Mishra, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, hi, guys. It was a bit unexpected. So first of all, I would like to say that this does seem like a debate. There's going to be a vote at the end. But having talked to this person before, it is actually a discussion, because I don't think anybody here has the audacity to say that abuse does not exist or that it's a good thing. So, so my motion, basically, my point forth in this particular issue is that online abuse is real, definitely. And social media does not always become a tool for women. And for that, I've been asked to take personal anecdotes and give you experiences from my own life. So I would keep it not academic, but that. As far as social media is concerned, I have been a part of it since I was in the 6th standard. And I think I have checked the privacy settings of every post that I've put up more than I've checked the stove at my house. And one of them has the potential of killing me. The problem with that is, so one of the problem here is, was very succinctly asked by a classmate of mine a few days ago, where he asked, what is this oppression that you women just keep whining about? Like, you're a law student, you're in law school, you wear whatever you want, you eat whatever you want. I'm a Brahmin who eats meat and drinks alcohol, so technically I am very brushed. I have the freedom that many women out there don't, and so you're just like, what is this oppression that you keep on saying? I would like to just present one instance that every woman in this audience would relate to. A single woman traveling in a train coach. Now, for most men out there, it's a very ordinary experience. You just want to go from place A to place B, and that's the thing about it. However, for women, I would be on the edge of my seat seeing who the co-passengers are. You could clearly see on my face, I would be tensed if they're all males. I'm not saying that all the males that enter my coach are abusers, but it is something that I'm wired into, and I would be on the edge of my seat. And I would call up my mom and comfort her if they're families. This dialogue is always there. You will have women who mentally take notes of the amount of money they should carry in different purses when they're traveling, and different types of safety protocol that only women know. This underlying dialogue is what I have a problem with when it comes to social media, because it spills there as well. For this, let me just take you through a normal day while scrolling FB or Twitter. Since Facebook is the sponsor, let's just not.
No, go ahead. You can say anything. With Facebook's permission, we ask you to talk about all social media platforms.
So Facebook or Insta or Twitter, be it any of them. So you would see, say, for example, the first post that you see is how to lose weight, how to dress, how to speak, how to eat. And after a point, clothing doesn't end up becoming a style of expression, but rather which similar fruit you look like and how to dress that fruit. In my case, I'm a pear-shaped body, so a fitted bottom and a flowy top is the way to go. I would have requests from creepy people who are rock stars who will rock my world, and names in fonts that they're probably trying to convey to alien species because I can't read them. Messages, message requests. Another thing I cannot read, and I'm very happy that I can't because I don't want to know what they say. The funny thing about abuse online...
40 seconds.
Sure. The funny thing about the abuse online is that women often forget it. So I was asked before coming here that you have to give personal anecdotes. Have you been abused online? And my instinctive answer was no. Then I remembered all the hello babes and bobs and vagines. Pardon my language, but if they are sending me that message, then I don't have to censor it myself. The problem with online abuse with women is that it is so common and so mundane that we don't categorize it as abuse anymore. We just consider it another obstacle that we have to go through to reach such things as the Me Too movement, which also social media has given. So my point at the end is that I agree that everyone has the right to not be considered an abuser, but also everyone has the right to not start off as a victim and forget. If somebody asks you, have you been abused? The answer should never be, it should be no, not because people have forgotten it, but because they have actually not been abused online.
That's a very important point on how numbing brutalization can be that you actually take it as normal. All right, thank you for your opening remarks. Ujjwal Pratap, it's over to you. Is it on? Take this.
Okay, so as established earlier, that this will not be a debate. It will be in a way discussion because like I cannot contradict anything she said. It's a personal like experience as such, and I acknowledge and also accept that this happened, this does happen, this happens more than we care to acknowledge or know. But the thing we are talking about, like what my side is that, like the problem with free speech and abuse debate is not a current problem. Ever since Twitter came, when the Twitter came, the constitution of Twitter established itself as a freedom of speech messiah. Then they helped in Arab Spring, and they said that we are free speech wing of a free wing party. And they were very enthusiastic of that sort. But as soon as more and more people started coming on the platform, they somehow acknowledged the fact at the very highest level that there is a problem there. And the problem is that people tend to get, when anonymous or when they know that there is no repercussion, they tend to get more violent in their speech. And that is a problem. They have accepted that. Like everyone from the head of Facebook, from the head of Twitter, and all of the social media platforms accepted that. But the problem arises is where do you categorize the end of freedom of speech and start of abuse? Now a research was done by Pew Research, and they asked a hypothetical, I think it was a Pew Research, they asked a hypothetical question that a woman made a controversial remark on social media platform, and then she started getting trolled and some abuse as such. So a famous blogger shared that post, and then she started getting abused, and then her morphed photo was shared. So people were asked that at what point do you think the abuse happened? When the person shared with the intention that his followers will tend to come on and say some nasty things, or when the things abused were said, or when the photo was morphed as such. The percentage differed, obviously. But even within then, the percentage differed, that at what point you want Twitter to intervene. Even within women who understand that this is harassment, they differ on the point that at which point do you want the establishment to intervene and the law of land to intervene. Now, the thing is that we have to, when we have to give the benefit of doubt as such, or we have to give levity as such, we have to always give levity to freedom of speech as such. Certain things are not acceptable. Certain things are not acceptable by law itself, like stalking, voyeurism, sharing photo without the permission of the other party, direct threat to violence, and all such things are illegal. They are given in IPC, they are given in IT Act. How well how well police do that thing, that is a different matter altogether, but they are given there. But on the point, at which point? If I say someone is fat, which I don't say, to be honest, like if I say someone is fat, is that abuse? If I say, I hope you die, is that abuse? If I say that person should be killed, like at what point? If I give, at what particular point will you say that, okay, so this is the point, and now this will be abuse, and now law of land will take over. There is no certain point. And that has been shown in research that women differ in their own opinion of what sexual harassment at online is, what online abuse is. And again, on what point will they find action should be taken? Again, what should be solution as such? Like, I cannot provide solution.
30 seconds.
Okay, I cannot provide solution as such, because like there was a, I think there was a singer who pardon to say, I didn't remember his name, but there was a singer who used to meet Ku Klux KKK leaders. His opinion was that if I meet them, they will listen to my point of view, this, and then like we will become friends. And he succeeded in that. More than 200, 300 members like became like his supporters and left Ku Klux Klan. Now, that is his way of dealing with the problem. Every individual has a certain way of dealing with the problem.
15 seconds.
What I would suggest is that more options should be given to the user. The controlling, like muting, blocking, all other sort of things should be given. But if levity has to be given, the levity has to be always to be given in the freedom of speech. Okay. Every propagator of freedom of speech, except that it can be abused as such.
Okay,
but
okay.
Thank you.
Interrupt you, but I think the central point that you made, let's have a round of applause for him. I think the central point you made is at what point does free speech become abuse, and instead of letting the law or law enforcement take place, have a code of community standards, and that there's a lot of confusion over what is abuse and what is free speech. Is calling someone fat. Abuse is saying, I want you to die. Abuse, I would say pretty much yes, but I won't influence the debate. 1.5 minutes to interject, 1.5 minutes to interject, and then 1 or 2 audience comments and an audience vote. Go ahead.
I wouldn't consider this an interjection because I did kind of agree to a lot of things that he said. Again, I started with the fact that it's not a debate, it's a discussion. And a personal suggestion from my side, can we not have the debate vote from the audience, but rather just suggestions from the audience?
Okay.
Because
we'll let Anuradha determine who's won, and we'll just take suggestions from the audience.
Okay, definitely.
Okay, go ahead.
Considering that, so my speech basically was online abuse from a very individualistic idea. Ujjwal, on the other hand, gave a very practical and holistic idea of how abuse versus freedom of speech should exist. Just one rebuttal to what he said was, that sexual harassment is different for different people, agreed. And however, there should be a community standards, as Barkha herself had pointed out. So one of the things that he has suggested, the problem I would have with that is that if we give the control to just the user, that also is a chilling effect to a certain extent. That would, for example, if I have a problem, that like if the option is given to the user, the entire Me Too movement might not have even started. Because if one post against one man is rebutted and just taken away from the platform itself. So I wouldn't say giving it to the user is the correct idea. However, like some sort of community standard can be set where every post is analyzed for its own. It's very impractical, but we'd have to come across some way of integrating technology like artificial intelligence or something like that. So basically what I wanted to say that maybe the platform can be open rather than deciding between a man and a woman whether there is online abuse or there should be freedom of speech and expression. We can open the floor for more suggestions as to addressing each point that we are bringing forth on the table.
Ujjwal?
Yeah. So there is online abuse, like that's obvious, and nobody can deny that. My point about common criteria as such was that there is a common criteria that law of land at a particular point the law of land understands that this is abuse, voyeurism, stalking, threat to violence, threat to sexual abuse as such. So that is understood. But what is not decided and understood is the between part, from just being nasty to like genuine abuse part. Like how will we decide? Now I can't decide, but at a certain point I gave the research so that the women among themselves also cannot decide on that part. And I said on the sexual harassment part is different for different. On the online part, what is sexual abuse on online differs. The research clearly shows that. On the point that user-controlled guideline, that is the part that users would have control that who they want to interact with. Like if I do not want to interact with someone, I can block him, I can mute him, and that is the option. That is the option given. The point that there was two things given in the motion, that online abuse versus free speech. It is not a versus topic as we have said repeatedly. We said repeatedly. But the point of, as I earlier also said, that every time a discussion happens on freedom of speech, every time a discussion happens on what is the level of where the freedom of speech ends, the levity will always be given the extra hand will always be given to freedom of speech because it plays much more essential role in dialogues between two persons than any other thing.
So you're privileging free speech over online abuse because you're saying online abuse is ambiguous. Right? Okay. What I'm going to do...
Okay,
your time's up now.
You asked me a question, ma'am.
Okay,
Come on.
10 seconds.
Okay. I didn't say that online abuse versus, there is no versus. At a certain point, when there is ambiguity as such, I think freedom of speech should be given upper hand.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take maybe 2-3 comments from the audience, and then I'll allow you 20 seconds rebuttals to what you hear from the audience, and then we'll get our judge into the conversation. I'm seeing a hand go up there. Quickly stand up so we can get you the mic. Yes, stand up. Those who want to talk, stand up. Yeah.
So all I want to say is that I think we misunderstand the freedom of speech and expression a lot in this country. It is a right that we have against the state, not against other people. So when somebody says abused and that person says, please don't say that to me, people say, no, it's my right that I want to say this. I really have this desire to say something mean to you, so I will. But we don't realize that this is a right that we don't have against that particular person. And something that can hurt someone's feelings doesn't necessarily count as your free speech because it's not a personal right, it's a right.
The right to hurt someone or abuse someone is not a right to free speech. Yes, okay. Just speak like this. Hold the mic closer to you, yeah. So define abuse first. Okay, okay. Got it. Okay, that mic isn't working great, so let's just move this one around. Yeah, go ahead.
This is a personal anecdote. I'm a part of several Facebook groups where women post screenshots of men who have been harassing them on various social media platforms. On these posts, if you comment men are trash, it's a okay thing to say because these are men who are objectively abusing and harassing you. That comment immediately automatically gets flagged and deleted, and you get a notification that your comment has been flagged for hate speech. On the other hand, if I happen to post something on my personal feed and people start trolling me for that, people call me names, people objectively harass me, and I report them, and several people report them, those comments are not marked as hate speech.
So you find that when you lash out at the men who are harassing you, it's reported for violating policy.
If I talk about men who've been harassing me, it goes as hate speech. And if I report men who have been harassing me, it goes as not against community standards.
That's important feedback. Anyone else? Anyone else? Last chance. Okay, 20 seconds.
So first of all, I would like to say that as far as abuse being an individual thing, it is. And I don't agree with Ujjwal as far as he says that freedom of speech should be given priority over abuse because abuse exists because freedom of speech is given priority over other people's opinions and emotions in the first place. Also, as far as comments on social media, so this was a discussion we were having before this debate, which was that abuse against women, as was pointed out in the feedback, that abuse against women is considered that women are more sensitive than men. To a certain extent, I would say that abuse against men and women, even when same, has more effect on women because of the inherent inequality of society. So if you call a woman a slut, it's not just you calling a woman a slut, it's 5 other men supporting you, men or women, I'm not saying that we are any better, men and women supporting that notion without even questioning it for the ever. If
10 seconds.
If you call the same name to a man, it would be questioned. The first thing that a woman or a man would do at that particular question would be, but how are you saying that? What is your objective backing to this? We're more supportive as a society to resist criticism against men as we are against women.
20 seconds.
Again, coming back to the same point, that why I said freedom of speech should be given levity. At the point when there is clear clear boundaries as such, and this is abuse, this is harassment, then the case is clear. Freedom of speech doesn't arise. The case of freedom of speech doesn't arise there. But when there is a bit of confusion of sort, then I think it should be given. The point that was to be made that when I'm speaking for freedom of speech, the only question I ask, and I have asked, that anyone sitting here, if they can provide any solution to as such, that if a such situation arises where a person say that this is harassment and another person said this is not harassment, and there is no exact legal mechanism or mechanism by Twitter and Facebook as such, what should be done at that certain point? Who should be given priority as such? And if we take the line too right, it will. If we take the line too much toward the freedom of speech, it will lead to abuse. And if we take the line too much toward the against the freedom of speech, it will lead to, in a way, in a way saying that freedom of speech doesn't exist as such.
So a round of applause for both our debate speakers. We're going to actually wait for the judge to deliver her verdict. But ma'am, may I please just call you to the front of stage? I just want to tell you all, we'll keep the suspense alive on who Anuradha chooses, but a little bit about her. Senior IPS officer of the 1990 batch, has served in various capacities in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. As DIG Bhopal, busted a weapons factory run by Naxals, and was awarded the Gallantry Award by the President of India for leading this against Naxals. Has also received the Meritorious Service Medal by the President of India, and has currently been working in the area of cybercrime. So tell us a little bit about how you know, the heart of the matter, what is abuse and what is free speech?
Thank you, Barka. It was very interesting listening to both of you, and it's good that they called it a discussion rather than a debate. I hope I don't have to judge them.
You do. Difficult task. You'll have to choose a winner. That's life. But please, first go ahead.
Police wallahs always put a charge sheet. They don't judge. They give it to the judge. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. You know, the whole online scenario, and I'm additional DG training these days, and we are holding lots of cyber trainings for all the police officers, because they are as illiterate as the rest of the society about cyber technology and what's happening in the cyberspace. So abuse is just like it is in society. If there is sexism in society, there is cyber sexism. If there is misogyny in society, there is cyber misogyny. And the default mode of humankind is man. Woman is a type of man, lesser, in the general popular imagination. So there you start with a little disadvantage. And as in all spaces, when you go in a public space, you either are to be given a clear, safe public space, or you have to push an elbow and make a space for yourself.
Yeah.
There is no space really which comes to you by right. So that is the same in the cyberspace. Our laws everywhere in the world, actually, and now actually there are some good laws being made in Germany and some being contemplated in the UK. In India, unfortunately, we have an 1860 law called the Indian Penal Code.
That's still applicable without changes? 1860 without changes, amendments, nothing?
A few amendments here and there, you know, little nitpicks. But by and large, the
1860.
same act. 1860.
Just
yes.
for perspective.
Yes, yes.
Can you all even count the math that long back?
Yes.
Go ahead, ma'am.
We like to be, you know, an old aging nation. So that act, IPC, has just been given some cyber tweaking, and we have taken some loan sections from a UK act, and we have made this IT act, which actually doesn't answer to our needs. If you remember, there was a debate about this section 66A of IT Act, which was struck down by the Supreme Court. It actually debilitated women's rights because it was about online abuse and abuse on the electronic medium. And it was a very portmanteau section, and it helped everybody, actually. Of course, people were using it for political ends. And Barkha was crying hoarse, trying to get it down, but it did have a side effect, and I think that there is some contemplation about new laws.
Okay.
But if you go to our Women and Child Development Ministry website, you will see trolls there. The government of India has put up a women's policy, and you will see people abusing the women's policy.
Yeah.
So this is the situation. Now, I think that the agency has to be given to women. You know, you have to be given sovereignty over your own body, your own space.
And that space extends to online space.
Absolutely. When
Yes.
I talk of space, here I mean all space.
Yeah.
You know, the cyberspace is now the major space,
Yeah.
at least in their generation.
Yeah.
And what needs to be handled is consent, not content. What we are focusing on completely is content, constantly. What is the content of this? What is whether there is consent. And that is most important. Even if I agree to have tea with you, you make tea for me, and then I don't want to have tea, you cannot push it down my gullet.
That's right.
The consent bit has to be very, very central in framing of any laws. And there is this debate which has just started. And I hope you will be able to, push this debate further, and we'll get a new set of laws. But we need to look at it from the angle of the abused.
That's right.
And this whole victimhood thing, where you're told to actually, how can you save yourself? Block the guy. Now this is actually forgiving the guy.
Yeah.
Because you blocked him and you let him go on.
And putting the onus on the abused.
Exactly, exactly. And then that guy, actually, he'll just change his identity and go. One of my daughter's colleagues, who's working in a very elite college of Delhi University, day before yesterday, my daughter was showing a Facebook post on her Facebook ID by somebody who immediately deleted his ID about an assignment of creative writing that the little young professor has given to the young student. And he's a first year student, he must be 17, 18. And this professor is maybe somewhere in her late 20s or early 30s. And he has abused her right, left, and center. Of course, I told her to go to the cyber police. It'll take a lot of time. We do not know whether he used a proxy server based in Venezuela. Who knows? So, this is the kind of thing which you're facing. Therefore, the law has to look at the consent aspect of it and not the content aspect of it.
I think that's really, really critical. Just a last thought before we ask you to announce the winner of this discussion. Interesting question raised. You do not want to censor speech, but I think as the young lady there said, the right to abuse someone is not free speech. And how have we mixed up the two?
See, this is a big problem here. And the Constitution of India has given you Article 19, which guarantees you freedom of expression. It opens the door, but it puts a screen.
Yeah.
There are some
restrictions.
Restrictions which you have to follow. And that restriction is, your freedom ends where my nose begins. So that thing we have to follow, and the law of the land must be supreme. Here, I must tell you something which might not make your sponsor very happy, that these social media platforms, or whichever spaces, cyber spaces where we interact as human beings anonymously or with our identities, all these places are not public places really. They have been provided, and we keep calling them media. When I think of media, I think of those media houses you have been working in.
Yeah.
So
you're saying it's a misnomer to look at them as media?
Yes. Because, media has got, you went to a media school, and you know that you were told that these are things which you can do, and these are things which you should not do.
But it's the reality of social media that gatekeeping is dead. So that's why we're having this debate, because editorial gatekeeping is dead, so we need community and platform gatekeeping.
That's because it's not an editorial platform. It is a corporate. It has a profit model. It only wants to look at profits. It's a big behemoth which is trying to make maximum money.
Maybe so, but I'm saying it's the reality of our times that we're all on social media. So we need an answer on how we create these community standards, how we say to Facebook, Google, Twitter, these are the, this is the pushback from people, right?
So this is what I'm coming to.
So quickly, ma'am, we're out of time. Last words.
So we just have to tell them that here you have to understand that the law of the land shall prevail. Like Germany, like UK.
But we need new laws. We need more contemporary. Okay, we need a winner from you now.
Oh, that's a very tough call. And I think that Ujjwal, you did very well. And you did parry the questions also well. But I do think that my thumbs up goes to this young girl.
So we have Khushbu winning this debate. She's the winner of the campus debate. Let's have a round of applause for the winner. And a round of applause for Ujjwal for taking part. Okay, that's the way, that's the spirit. Thank you, ADG Anuradha Shankar. Can I ask you all now to